Hi there! In this video, you'll learn how to take measurements and find the angles in your references. This tool will help you find the correct proportions of your reference and draw them more accurately. I like to think that drawing is a lot like sculpting. You begin with a big block and start finding your sculpture in that block. Imagine that the blank page is your big block you start with. And from there, you'll find your drawing by breaking your reference down into basic shapes and refining your sketch by finding the angles and the measurements. So measuring angles is a great support piece for breaking things down into basic shapes. These first tools are supposed to help you during the building stages of your sketch. The process of finding your drawing should look sort of messy to the naked eye. And I say this because I remember when I started, I would be too afraid to make my drawings look messy at any point. I remember I would draw stiff and uncertain lines so that no one would think that I was a drawing fraud. And it was this fear that held my own improvement back. Once I let go of that, I started seeing the results I wanted. So try to approach every single drawing with quick, loose lines. The first lines that you add to your page are like your mental process that you go through while you're finding your drawing. Once you have the structure down, you can always make a new layer and clean your drawing on top. With that in mind, let's talk about how to take measurements and find angles in your reference. Let's go for a walk together and I'll show you how. My hardworking assistant Bowie will help us with this. To measure, you can extend your arm with your Apple Pencil and put it facing your subject. I'm gonna measure how big his head is in comparison to his body. So I put the tip of my Apple Pencil on the top of his head and I use my thumb to find his chin. Once I have that measurement, I'll see how many times it fits inside his body. We have 1, 2, 3, and a little bit more. So I know that his whole body is around 4 heads tall. You can do this to find the size of parts of your drawing in relation to other parts. Now, let's talk about capturing angles. To do that, I'll extend my arm again with my pencil towards my subject, and I'll align the pencil with the angle that I want to take. For instance, the angle on his back, his neck, or his legs. Once I have that angle, I move my arm over to my drawing, making sure that I don't move the angle of my pencil or change my grip at all. With that same grip, I follow the angle of the pencil to do a quick line. Once I have the angle down in my drawing, I can change the grip on my pencil and redefine the line that I made. Using these two tools, I'm able to capture my subject more accurately and build up my sketch. These skills, just like all of the other skills, requires practice. And a great way to practice this is to draw a curved line or wavy lines and recreate that line by measuring the angles. Now that you know how to use this tool in theory, let's see it in practice. Following what we learned in the last video, start with the biggest shape you see, which in this case is the circle for the base part of the jar. Now, onto the biggest shape you see, which in this case is the cylinder on top of that circle. This is when measurement comes into play. You can measure how big the cylinder is in comparison to the circle. To do that, use your pencil as a measuring tool and measure the size of your circle and compare that to the size of the cylinder. The cylinder is a bit smaller than the circle. Once you have that, you can start to draw the cylinder. Now, use your pencil once again to find the angle on the spout of the jar. To do this, place your Apple Pencil following the angle and move that angle over to your drawing. You can do the same thing for all the angles in the spout of the jar. Now, measure the angle on the handle and transport that into your drawing. You can use a circle to capture the curve in the handle. A good tip when you're learning how to use this tool is to put your reference image as close to your drawing as you can. This will help because you need to look back and forward between your drawing and your reference constantly. You have to be able to capture the angle and transport it to your drawing. So the shorter the distance between your drawing and your reference image, the easier it will be for your eyes. This will become easier and easier the more you practice this skill. Another useful thing this tool can help you with is making sure that the parts of your drawing are placed properly in relation to other parts. For instance, let's say you want to make sure that the handle is in the right place in relation to the bottom of the jar. You can measure the angle from the handle to the circle and transfer that into your drawing. You can continue building up your sketch this way. And remember that this is just your sketch, and your main goal should be to find where all the pieces of your puzzle go. So start by ignoring all the small details and focus on the structure of your drawing. Just angles, simple lines, and shapes. You can also use this tool to find the placement of different things in your drawing. Let's say you want to find where the corner of the table is in relation to the spout of the jar. Use your pencil to measure that and transfer it into your drawing. I want you to notice that once I capture an angle, I take my pencil to my drawing without moving it. I even draw the first lines just following that angle, without changing the grip on the pencil. Once you have the angle on your drawing, you can change the grip and perfect the line. Remember that making mistakes is an important part of learning. It's okay to make mistakes. The important thing is to continue to compare your reference to your drawing. And if you see that something is off, don't worry, just change it. Once you're done measuring the elements of your reference, make sure to double check. I'm saying this because I often need to readjust a few of my lines before I can move on to a more finished drawing. So it's always a good idea to recheck your sketch before you spend lots of time rendering it. In this case, if you look back and forward from the reference to the drawing, it seems that the fruits are further from the jar than they should be. So you can recheck the angle from the spout to the orange once again, and move things around until they match your reference image. As I said before, drawing is a process of iterations. So don't feel discouraged by the mistakes, because we all make them. I've been using these concepts for a really long time now, and as you can see from this demo, I'm still making the mistakes. I think that the key is not in the not making the mistakes, but in the way you face them. I know firsthand how frustrated it can be when you're trying really hard to draw something, but it just doesn't seem to go your way. I like to see drawing as a challenge. And if you get frustrated, you can take a break or take a few deep breaths. Maybe even walk away for a few minutes and come back to your drawing with a fresh mind. The thing is, sometimes when you're really into a drawing, it can be difficult to see what might be off. It's only when you walk away for a few minutes that you can see those mistakes. So if you're struggling, I encourage you to walk away for a moment and come back to your drawing with a fresh set of eyes. I assure you, you'll be able to more easily spot what is off and fix it. You can see that this sketch is looking pretty messy and loose for now. That's because you shouldn't be concerned right now with the final details. So don't focus on the textures, the shine, the lights. Right now, you just want to know the correct placement of the elements. And once you have that, you can make a new layer on top and clean the sketch up, or even finish your illustration. Let's see another example. Here, you can start with a circle for his head. You can measure the angles on his neck and his beak. You can also draw a small circle for his cheek and add a smaller circle for his eye. Another small circle for his chest, and find the angle for his body. And this way you can continue to draw the angles and the basic shapes of your reference. You can measure where the tail ends in relation to the head. So, using your pencil, you can measure the size of the head and use that measurement to find where the tail ends. It takes a bit less than 4 times of that size. Once you have everything in place, you can move on to more details and start to draw a bit darker and with more certainty. Here you'll see me add more details. Make sure to move your eyes back and forward between the reference image and your drawing constantly. And try to spot any misplaced angles or shapes until you're happy with your sketch. So, to recap, measuring takes the guess out of drawing. Take your time to measure as many parts and compare them to each other. The more you master this skill, the easier and easier drawing will be. Now it's your turn. Go to the worksheets of this video and practice this skill. On the worksheets, you'll find a group of reference images on the left. Your assignment is to take the measurements and the angles on top of each image, almost like you're tracing it, but using your pencil to capture the angles and the measurements. You want these drawings to be extremely loose, with no final details, just basic shapes, lines, and angles. When you're done with this, I want you to draw the reference image all by yourself on the blank space next to it. And as always, I want you to take your time and have fun. And when you're done with that, here's an extra assignment for extra credits. Revisit your class drawing and use this tool to refine it a bit more. You can either restart your class drawing from scratch, using this as an excuse to practice the tools you've learned so far even more, or you can just duplicate your drawing, pick it up where you left it in the previous video, and continue refining it with each tool. This way, you'll be able to see how each of these tools help you make your drawing more accurate. Make sure to share what you do for this assignment in the Design Cuts Community Hub or in social media. This way, we can all inspire each other with our progress. And once you finish this assignment, we'll see each other in the next video. See you!